The scariest sound online isn't a scream. It's a notification. A reply to a thread archived years ago from a user who never existed. No profile, no trace. Just the ping. This is Lermo Stories. Real echoes, real dread. Turn your volume down, if it helps.
Okay, logging this for myself. Maybe for the cops later, I don't know. I'm mobile, pet grooming. Got a decent van set up with a tub, table, power shears, whole 9 yards. Clients book online, I pull into their driveway, scrub their neurotic little shih tzus, collect the Venmo. Easy life. This one was a new client, Michelle R. Booked through the app, no profile photo, but everything looked legit. Notes said the dog was a miniature schnauzer, friendly but shy. Address popped up in my GPS, cul-de-sac in a dull suburb maybe 40 minutes out. Big pre-90s homes, cracked driveways, some with Ring doorbells, some not. I pulled in around 2:40, hot as hell. The kind of heat that makes your air freshener hang limp like a wet sock. Her house was the only one with all the blinds drawn. Brown brick, dead hanging plants, no welcome mat. I texted, "Here," like I always do. A minute later, a woman came out with the dog on a leash. She looked off, too pale, way too pale, like no sun in a year pale. Mid-40s maybe? She didn't make eye contact, just sort of placed the leash in my hand and walked back without saying a word. No smile, no wave, just that weird stiff walk, arms hanging by her sides. The dog didn't bark, didn't sniff, just followed me in like it was drugged. Inside the van, I clipped him to the hook and got started. He was matted to hell. Filthy, like no one had touched him in months. Smelled weird too, not pee or wet dog, something sour, almost metallic. I figured maybe he'd been locked in a room or something. Dogs like this always get aggressive once you hit a knot, but this one just stood there, rigid, didn't even tremble. No tail movement, no whining, just looked straight ahead, like a statue. Halfway through the trim, I noticed he had scars. Thin, straight ones down his sides and a perfect circle on the base of his spine. Looked surgical. I snapped a pic with my phone, planning to ask the owner if he'd had a back surgery or something. When I looked back at him, his eyes were focused on me. First time he looked at anything, but not like a dog, like a person. I spoke out loud without thinking, said, "You okay, buddy?" His tail moved once, just once, a sharp wag, then dead still again. And then, I swear to God, I heard something. A bark, coming from deep inside. But the dog was with me. I turned off the shears and just listened. Another bark, closer. Then silence. I stood there with the clipper still in my hand, not moving. You know how when a sound doesn't make sense, your brain tries to fill in the gaps? I thought maybe a neighbor's dog, maybe an echo, anything that explained it away. But this wasn't that. It came from inside her house. Behind the front door, and it sounded exactly like the same kind of dog I had sitting in front of me. I leaned out the van, looked toward the house. Blind still down, no movement, I could hear my own heartbeat. I told myself maybe she had 2 schnauzers and only brought me the one. That made sense, right? Maybe the other's aggressive, or sick, or... But then the dog in my van growled, low and wet, like something catching in his throat. I looked at him. He wasn't looking at me this time. He was facing the house. Ears up, muscles stiff, not scared, alert. I tried to go back to work, just finish up, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I texted the client again. "Hey, just checking, is there another dog in the house?" No reply. 3 dots popped up, then disappeared, then nothing. I kept grooming. Only 5 minutes left. I figured maybe I was just tired, heat's messing with my head. But then I heard it again. Scratch, bark, scratch. It was closer. Not just barking, it was pawing at something. Then came the tap. Not on the van, on the driver's window. Tap, tap, tap. I stepped around to look. No one was there, just the empty driveway and the heat rising off the pavement. But I swear I saw something move. In the side mirror, something short, gray, flicked past the corner of the van and out of view. I unhooked the dog, towel-dried him in a rush. He didn't resist, didn't shake off, just let me do it. No emotion, no reaction, like he wasn't even there. I opened the back door and walked him out on the leash. I expected her to be waiting at the porch. She wasn't. The door was cracked, maybe 6 inches open. I stood there for a second, called out,
"Hey, Michelle?" No answer. I didn't want to go to the door. I didn't want to walk up to that porch. The air around the house felt wrong. It was hotter somehow, stale, like whatever breeze existed outside died the second it touched those bricks. Then the dog pulled forward. First movement he made on his own. Not hard, just enough to walk me toward the open door. He went up the steps, looked back once, then walked inside, like he lived there.
I should have just turned around, called it in as a welfare check, and left. But something about the way he walked inside, it felt like a routine, like he'd done it 1,000 times. I stepped up to the door, knocked lightly. Nothing. I called again. "Michelle, your dog came back in. Just wanted a square up payment." Still nothing. I looked inside. First thing I noticed was the smell. Not rot, not trash, something chemical, like acetone or maybe ammonia. The walls were bare, but the floor was clean. Too clean. No shoes by the door, no rugs, no leash hooks. It looked like a house before anyone moves in, but too lived in to actually be empty. I kept one foot outside, reached in, trying to spot the dog. I could hear faint clicking of nails on linoleum down the hall, like he was walking in circles. Then I heard a voice. Not from a person, from a TV. Just a regular TV, somewhere deeper in the house. Some daytime game show. Canned applause, a woman laughing, but it was way too loud, like it was playing for someone who wasn't actually watching it. I called out one more time, louder. "Michelle, are you okay?" Still nothing. I backed up and started down the steps, when I heard something new. A voice, but not from the TV, from upstairs. A man's voice, flat, robotic, like someone trying to speak through a sore throat. "He's not the same one," it said. I froze. Then I heard something heavy shift above me. A dragging sound, slow and deliberate, like furniture being pulled across carpet. The TV cut out mid-sentence. I stepped back inside, just enough to see the hallway. The dog was sitting there now, right at the end of the hall, perfectly still, facing me. I looked at his back. No towel marks, no clipped hair. His coat was dirty again, matted, just like when he'd first come in. But I'd groomed him. I saw the clippings in my van. And then, I don't even know how to write this. He opened his mouth and it clicked. Not a bark. A hard, mechanical click, like metal snapping into place. The man's voice upstairs spoke again, louder this time. "Leave him!" I turned and bolted, jumped off the porch, into the van, slammed the doors shut, peeled out so fast I knocked over their trash can. I didn't stop driving for 20 minutes. Later, I checked my phone. The appointment in the app? Gone. Like it had never been scheduled. The photo I'd taken of the scars? Just a blurry shot of my own floor mat. No trace of her, or the dog, or the address in my history. I still have the clipped fur in the trash bag in my van. I don't want to look at it. I'm scared it'll be something else now. I haven't told anyone, just recording this because I have to, because I know what I saw, and because I think whatever was in that house knows I saw it too. And it's booked another appointment. Tomorrow. Same zip code, no profile photo, same note. Miniature schnauzer, friendly but shy. I got the job at Driftlin Water Park the summer after junior year. Place was already dying. Slides rusting, food court abandoned except for vending machines, moldy smell in the tunnels that led to the maintenance sheds. Still, it paid $12 an hour and came with free sodas, so I didn't ask questions. My job was basically cleanup. Pick up Band-Aids, toss forgotten towels, dig goggles out of filters.
End of the season was always the weirdest. The park shut down after Labor Day, but we still had 2 weeks to drain the pools, empty lockers, and clean out lost and found before winterizing. That's when I started noticing the logs. Lost and found was this narrow storage room behind the employee showers, barely lit by a flickering ceiling bulb. Everything tossed in there during the summer got recorded in a binder. Sunglasses, phones, Crocs, floaties, 1 item per line, with date, location, and employee initials. On my second day of postseason cleanup, I noticed entries in the log that weren't in my handwriting. I figured someone else had come in before me, but when I checked with the only other guy still working, Jorge, a guy who mostly just smoked in a lifeguard chair and watched YouTube, he swore he hadn't touched the room. I shrugged it off until I saw the first weird entry. September 9, 1 pink mesh hair tie, recovered from drain near toddler splash pool. Initials, MW. I stared at it for a while. We didn't have anyone with those initials. I double-checked the locker room schedules. No one by that name had worked here this year. The handwriting was weirdly neat, like someone had written it with care. Next day, another entry. September 10, 1 small plastic tooth, found behind the filter grate. MW. A tooth. I actually went and checked the filter, and yeah, it was there. One of those fake vampire teeth, probably from a kid. But why would someone log that? More entries followed. Every day, same initials. September 11, 1 fabric wristband, child-sized, pulled from behind chemical supply cabinet. MW. September 12, 1 wet baby sock, inside pump room crawl space. MW. By the end of the week, the room smelled worse. Not like chlorine and mold anymore. Something sweet but rotten. I stopped taking my lunch in there. Friday, I decided to come in early and just wait by the lost and found room to see who was making the entries. No one showed. But when I checked the binder again that afternoon, there was a new log. September 13, 1 child swimsuit, blue with sharks, found wedged in vent duct. MW. I checked the vent. It was there, still damp, still smelled like pool water. That night, I asked Jorge if anyone ever talked about the park before it shut down the first time. He just looked at me, like I was trying to start shit. Dude, he said, you know it reopened after that kid drowned, right? I didn't. But after he said it, things started making a lot less sense. And a lot more. Saturday morning, I showed up with a flashlight and gloves. No one else was scheduled. I figured if someone was sneaking in to mess with the logbook, they'd need a key, and only I had the master set, besides Jorge. I unlocked the storage room. Same flickering bulb, same mildew stink. The binder was there, sitting perfectly centered on the metal desk. Open to a fresh page. Blank. I flipped back. There were entries going back weeks I hadn't noticed before. August dates, early September, always signed MW. I started reading. August 17, 1 waterproof camera, retrieved from Lazy River pump housing, MW. August 21, 1 pacifier, yellow, found between bleacher planks near wave zone, MW. September 3rd, 1 baby blanket, faded blue, stuck to underside of storage raft, MW. Some of these locations didn't make sense. The Lazy River had been closed all summer for repairs. The bleachers were torn down in June. I flipped forward again. Sunday's entry was already written. September 14, 1 lock of blonde hair, braided, filter intake behind staff shower, MW. I slammed the book shut and went straight to Jorge. He was eating pretzels in the drained kiddie pool, watching a cracked phone screen. I told him what I found. He followed me, reluctantly, and I showed him the binder. He didn't say anything at first, just kept flipping through the pages. Then he asked me, kind of low, "You think someone's hiding in here?" I don't know. But these spots, they're real. I've checked some. Like, in the vents? I nodded. That afternoon, we opened the grate behind the staff shower and pointed our flashlights inside. I didn't expect to see anything. But down in the metal ductwork, right against the back wall, was a thick clump of braided hair. Jorge leaned in close, then swore and dropped the flashlight. We didn't touch it, just backed away, closed the grate, and didn't talk much the rest of the day. Sunday morning, the storage room door was already open. No one was supposed to be in. The logbook had a new entry. September 15, 1 yellow wristband. Adult. Locker 114. Unclaimed. MW. I checked the locker. It was mine. There was a wristband hanging from the hook inside. I never wear them, never did. I backed up fast and slammed it shut. When I turned, Jorge was there. "We gotta stop coming in here," he said. "For real." We left the park early. No one stopped us. No alarms. That night, I got a photo on my phone. No number, just a photo of the binder. New page. New entry. September 16. 1 red and white cooler. Found in pump room. Contents leaking. MW. I didn't go back Monday. I called in sick, which no one cared about since technically the season was over. Jorge didn't respond to texts, which is normal for him. I figured we were both just waiting for the clock to run out on our last week. But then Tuesday afternoon, someone rang the doorbell at my house. My mom answered. Said a guy named Mark had dropped off a plastic bag for me. I opened it in my room. Inside was my work badge, snapped in half, and a folded piece of water-stained paper. September 17, 1 employee ID, found beside upper slide stairs, MW. I hadn't been up there in weeks. I called Jorge again, straight to voicemail. Around sunset, I caved and drove to the park. The gates were locked, but I had my key. I parked by the staff entrance and walked in through the back lot, past the dumpsters and the half-collapsed fence. The sound of my shoes on the wet concrete echoed more than it should have. The air smelled heavier than normal, like a bucket that had been left too long in the sun. I walked past the dry kiddie pool, toward the upper slides. The gate to the stairs was unlatched. At the top landing, the breeze hit me, cold, stale, chemical. I crouched and looked at the floor near the rusted stair railing. Something small and shiny was half tucked under the edge. I reached and pulled it out. Jorge's vape pen. Then I heard the door to the pump room slam shut. I turned and bolted. Down the stairs, past the lazy river skeleton, through the staff hallway and into the lost and found room. I don't even know why. Instinct, maybe. The logbook was open again. One more entry. September 18. 1 cell phone, cracked screen, gold case. Found near shallow end. MW. I knew the phone. Jorge's. I checked my pocket. My own phone was gone. I backed out of the room, turned and ran. Through the hallway, through the back lot, across the lawn with the deflated inner tubes still lying there like corpses. I didn't stop running until I got back to my car. I drove straight to the sheriff's office. Told them everything. They sent someone to the park the next morning. Called me later that day. They found nothing. No Jorge, no logbook, no bag. Nothing behind the grate. Not even my badge. But that night, one last photo came to my phone. No number. Just a shot of the logbook on a desk that wasn't metal anymore. It looked like old wood. Maybe from the original water park. Candlelit. September 19. 1 clipboard, employee use. Logged and filed. MW. I haven't gone back. I won't. I blocked the number, though I don't think it matters. But sometimes when I pass the place on the highway, I swear I still see that flickering light in the back room, like the bulbs waiting for someone to clock in. And I never found out who MW was, but I don't think they ever left.
I moved into the neighborhood about a month ago. It's one of those gated suburban cul-de-sacs where every house looks exactly the same. Freshly painted, perfectly trimmed lawns, no weeds anywhere, the kind of place you see in real estate ads, all shiny and neat. I thought it would be quiet and safe, but quiet wasn't exactly what I got. The first HOA meeting happened 2 weeks after I arrived. I hadn't even unpacked most of my boxes, but thought I should show up. The clubhouse was cold, like the AC was set to hospital chill. Everyone wore polite smiles, but their eyes didn't match. Those smiles felt like warnings. The HOA president, Mark, a guy with a jaw so square it looked carved from stone, started listing rules. No trash bins visible on collection days, no outdoor decorations past Halloween, lawn height rules down to fractions of an inch. It wasn't just about keeping things nice. It felt like control, like he was flexing how tightly he could pull the strings. After the agenda, neighbors started sharing concerns. Lisa said she saw my trash cans out early on Tuesday, 2 hours too soon.
Another complained my mailbox wasn't the approved style, though it was the same model the HOA sent when I bought the house. Everyone chimed in with tiny grievances, stacking up like bricks, pressing against me. I explained I was new, didn't know all the rules yet. The smiles thinned. They told me this wasn't some college dorm, that we all want order here. I nodded, swallowing a growing knot of unease. Then, Mark said something that stuck. We're not just neighbors, we're custodians. We look out for each other. That means no one steps out of line. His gaze lingered too long. Walking back to my house, the neighborhood felt different. Grass greener, sure, but every window seemed to watch me. Cars sat perfectly parked, like rehearsed. Neighbors glanced my way, smiles rigid. That night, I found a plain envelope taped under my mailbox lid, no return address. Inside, a typed note. Welcome. Remember, conformity is safety. I thought about tossing it, but the weight of it kept me frozen, like I was meant to feel watched, maybe even scared. The next day, I mowed my lawn at exactly 7 a.m., clipped edges with precision, parked within the faintest margin allowed. Still, neighbors stood by their doors, watching. Jeff, an older man, waved stiffly, but didn't say hi. He muttered something I couldn't catch and quickly looked away. I haven't talked to anyone since. Just keep my head down, follow the rules. But the feeling hasn't gone away. Like this isn't just about neat lawns, but keeping people in line. I don't know what line I crossed, but I better find out before it's too late.
A few days after that note, things got stranger. It wasn't just the neighbors watching anymore. It felt like the whole neighborhood itself was watching, waiting. One afternoon, I was fixing a loose fence board when Lisa showed up. Clipboard in hand, dressed like she was on official business. Her smile was the same forced kind from the meeting, polite but sharp. "Hi," she said, voice bright but clipped. "I noticed your fence panel is uneven. It disrupts the visual harmony." I blinked. "I'm fixing it. Should be done tomorrow." She didn't leave. Instead, she ticked off items on her list. "Your driveway parking is 2 inches over the line. The hedge on the east side needs trimming." I looked. Sure enough, the hedge was a bit wild, and my car slightly over the painted line. Small stuff, but now it felt like an inspection. "I'll fix it," I said, trying to stay calm. Lisa's smile widened, but it was sharper now. "Good. We all want this place to look perfect. You understand that, right?" I nodded. Then she reminded me about the block social tonight, mandatory for everyone. That night, I showed up at the Thompsons' house. Their yard was decorated with fairy lights, soft music playing. On the surface, it looked harmless. Inside, though, the atmosphere shifted. Fake smiles, rehearsed laughs. Everyone's eyes flicked to me like I was on trial. Mark was there, surrounded by nodding neighbors. When he caught my eye, he raised his glass with a cold grin. I forced a smile back. Neighbors circled with questions that felt like tests. "How do you like the neighborhood? Settling in okay? Seen anything unusual?" I gave vague answers, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. Stepping outside for air, I saw every house's porch light was off, except mine. Mine was blazing bright, a glaring beacon in the quiet street. That's when I realized. They didn't want me here. After that night, things got worse. The next morning, my mailbox was stuffed full of notes. Some polite HOA reminders, others just blank sheets, folded neatly. No signatures, no explanations, just left for me to find. I started noticing cars parked too close to mine. When I looked at the drivers, they quickly looked away. One morning, I found a small, smooth, black stone on my doorstep. I don't know who left it, or why. I tried talking to Jeff, the older guy who muttered before. When I asked about the notes, he stared at me and whispered, "They watch. You don't want to be the one they watch too much." I laughed it off at first, but unease stayed. Even alone in my house, I felt eyes on me from every window across the street. One evening, I tried to leave. The streetlights were off except the one above my driveway, shining harshly. As I walked to my car, I heard slow tapping, from the far end of the cul-de-sac. Rhythmic, like knocking. But there are no houses there, just tall hedges blocking the view. I froze. The tapping stopped. A voice whispered from the darkness, "You don't leave. Not yet." I spun around but saw no one, just shadows stretching between identical houses. Silence, except for rustling leaves. I ran to my car and left, fast. The next morning, taped to my front door, was a yellowed note. The typed message was short. "Home is where you stay." I haven't left since.
I don't usually talk about this, but it's been eating at me. A couple weeks ago, I bought a car off Facebook Marketplace. Cheap deal, seemed legit, older model, nothing flashy, just something cheap to get around. The guy's profile was empty, no pics of him, just the car. Price was suspiciously low, but I thought it was worth a shot. We arranged to meet at his place, way out in the sticks, an hour from the city, past empty fields and old farms. The house was falling apart, peeling paint, overgrown yard, no neighbors for miles. The guy, Mike, was pale and twitchy. We didn't talk much, just car questions. He wouldn't let me take a long test drive, only a quick spin on the gravel road. The car looked okay. Dusty dashboard, cracked vinyl seats, smelling like cigarettes and mildew. The interior light flickered. The silence inside felt heavy, like a room someone just left. Mike sat next to me, watching quietly. The engine sputtered, starting, but settled. Gravel crunched under tires. We drove, but everything felt off. The air was thick inside. The dashboard clock stuck at 3:17, even though it was 6 p.m. I mentioned it, Mike shrugged it off. The glove compartment was jammed shut. No matter how much I pulled, it wouldn't open. Weird feeling. 5 minutes in, I saw Mike staring blankly ahead. Asked if he was okay. He muttered about being tired. Silence grew tense. It didn't feel peaceful, more like the quiet before something bad. We turned back. Near the driveway, I glanced in the rearview mirror. For a second, I saw a shadow in the back seat. A figure crouched. Blinked, gone. Told myself I imagined it. Mike didn't react. At the house, I told him I'd think about it. He nodded, but no smile. Outside, the yard was full of rusty car parts, like someone stripped cars and left pieces to rot. Windows boarded or covered with plastic, except one cracked open upstairs. I left fast. Later, replayed everything. The silence, stuck glove box, shadow, felt like I'd driven something I shouldn't see. Next day, called Mike. Number disconnected, Facebook deleted. Told friends, they laughed, said I'm paranoid. Maybe, but in my car now, I get that heavy silence again, like something's watching me from the back seat. I haven't gone back to that place. Just thought I'd share in case anyone sees a cheap car ad from nowhere and thinks it's too good to be true.
After that first test drive, I couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. I kept thinking about the stuck glove compartment, the clock frozen at 3:17, and Mike's blank stare. So, a few days later, I decided to go back. Not to meet Mike, since his profile was deleted and number disconnected, but just to check the place. Maybe I missed something. I drove out in the afternoon. The house looked worse. The yard was a junkyard of rusted car parts, old tires, hubcaps, broken headlights, scattered and half buried in dirt. The air smelled strange, like paint thinner mixed with something chemical. I parked down the gravel road and walked up slowly. The porch wood creaked under my boots. The front door was cracked open just a little. I peeked inside, dusty, musty, like the whole place was sealed for years. I called out, but no answer. The silence was heavy. Then I spotted tire tracks leading away from the house into the woods behind the property. Against my better judgment, I followed the narrow dirt path. The trees formed a dense canopy, blocking out most sunlight. More car parts lay along the way like strange markers. At the path's end sat an old pickup truck, rusted and half swallowed by leaves and vines. Its windows were shattered. The inside looked gutted, like someone stripped it bare. That's when I heard it. A scraping sound behind me, low and metallic. I spun around but saw only trees swaying in the wind. The noise kept coming, faint but deliberate, like metal dragging across rocks. My heart pounded. I didn't want to stick around. I ran back to my car. Inside, the dashboard was worse than the last one. The dust thicker, the clock stuck at 3:17 again. The glove compartment still jammed. I tried the door handles. They felt heavier than normal, like the car itself resisted me leaving. Driving away, the silence was suffocating. I kept checking the rearview mirror, expecting to see that shadow in the back seat again. Nothing. Just me, the worn seats, and the thick, heavy air. At home, I searched for Mike or the address online. Nothing came up. No records, no news stories. It was like they never existed. I found a few vague rumors on forums about a junk car dealer who disappeared years ago. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message from an unknown number.
It was a blurry photo of a dusty car interior. The dashboard clock was stuck at 3:17. The glove compartment was open, and inside was a folded piece of paper. I haven't opened the paper yet. Something about all this feels wrong. Whatever this is, it's far from over.
2 days ago, I finally worked up the nerve to open that photo message. The picture was of the car's interior, the dashboard covered in dust, the clock frozen at 3:17, and the glove compartment wide open. Inside, there was a folded piece of old, yellowed paper. I kept it sealed until that moment. I unfolded the paper carefully, afraid of what I might find. The handwriting was rushed, frantic, written in ink faded with time, but still legible. It read, "Don't leave it. It sees." Those words slammed into me like a warning shouted through the years. It felt oddly personal, like the writer was trying to stop me from making a terrible mistake. I kept rereading it, the words looping in my head and making the silence feel heavier. I couldn't ignore it. The car was more than just an old vehicle. It felt wrong, like it was holding something dark, something I wasn't meant to uncover. So I took it to a mechanic friend. I hoped he could give me a logical explanation, something to explain the heaviness and the feeling of being watched. He called me the same day, his voice uneasy. The electrical system was tampered with, not just broken, but wired to behave unpredictably. It wasn't just faulty, it was rigged, like someone rewired it to hide or protect something. He didn't want to say more, but I could hear the worry. When I picked up the car, he handed me a rusty key taped under the dashboard. He said he found it, but didn't know what it opened. I took it home, hands trembling. That night, I used the key to unlock the glove compartment. Inside, along with the paper, was a small, tarnished metal box. It looked old, like something from a pawn shop's dusty shelf. I hesitated before opening it, but curiosity and fear pushed me. Inside was a faded photo of Mike's house, taken from the road. The windows were painted black, like someone tried to erase what was inside. Below the photo was a typed note. "The car doesn't forget. It holds what you leave behind." Kama aes imprestate. That line echoed in my mind. What could the car hold? Memories, secrets, something worse. Every time I sit in that car, the clock is still stuck at 3:17. The silence feels alive, watching me, waiting. I lock every door and window at home now, check behind me constantly. The feeling of being followed won't leave. I don't know what the car wants, or keeps locked inside. I'm terrified to find out. If you see a cheap car listing from some no-name guy in the middle of nowhere, don't. Some deals come with a price beyond money. I'll update if anything else happens, but for now, I hope I never sit behind that wheel again.
Every time someone watches these stories, something new comes through. Not always visible, not always loud, but always watching back. Maybe it's the reason your screen flickers, or why the light in your room dimmed for a second. Maybe it's closer than you think. No one knows where it comes from, only that it arrives when the stories end, and leaves when you do. This was Lermo Stories. If the room feels colder now, don't look around.